All right. It actually looks like I am live. So that's good. I'm outside. You might be able to see that. I'm outside. And today, what I would like to do for this live update is to just talk about the term relativity because I think that can be a huge problem. It's not an easy term to understand. And I think if I explain it one more time in maybe a couple different ways, it will be helpful. And this is really the crux of the article. This is where everything comes together. Before I do that, though, I just want to let you know I will be looking over the presidential paragraphs today and updating those in Power School. And I will be taking a look at even older work, Mark Twain, Sacagawea, and updating those assignments as well. So you can practice Quizlet today too, and you can watch this video, which will be probably close to 10 minutes. So that might give you your 10 minutes of work. And of course, if you want to do more, well, that's possible. And you can always read parts of the article that are difficult because this is a difficult article. But let's talk about relativity, and it comes from that word relative. So I'm sure most of you know relative. Excuse me. It's like close to you. It's related. That also comes from this word related. So your cousin is a relative of yours. You're related. So when we talk about relativity or relative, it's sort of like that, but not exactly. So let me talk about size again. So I am 5'10". That's a fact. That's a fact. That's not relative to anything. I'm 5'10". But if we talk about me being tall, I could say that I am relatively tall compared to a first grader. So I think most first graders, I am taller than them. So I'm tall when I'm considered next to first graders. I'm relatively tall. But I could say that I'm relatively short compared to NBA basketball players. And that's where that relative comes in. It's not a precise measurement, tall or short. It's always compared to others. And usually when we say, "Oh, she's tall," we're comparing her to other people similar to her age. It's a comparison. So we might say, what else could we say that everybody would know? Um, let's just leave it at tall and short. Because I worry about if I talk about old, if I talk about young, I'll use myself as an example. Oh, but then I have to compare. So I could say that I'm young. I'm young. Many of you know I'm 44 years old. I'm young compared to Joe Biden. A lot of people might know Joe Biden. I think he's 78. And Donald Trump, is he like 73? So compared to those two guys, I'm young. But compared to that first grader, again, I'm quite old. So relative. You can say that I'm 44. That's not that's a fact. But when you say young and old, that's relative. So when we talk about time and relativity, talking about that, people are saying, scientists are making educated guesses. They are theorizing, because we can't do it. They are theorizing that time travel is possible because time might be relative. And I used this example last week, and it's not exactly what we're talking about when we talk about science. I'll get into that in a minute. But I talked about that last hour before summer vacation. It might seem so long to you. So it seems relatively long, that hour, like, come on, Belle, let's go, let's go. I want to go home. I want to get my summer started. But maybe some of the days that you have during the summer fly by really quickly. So in that respect, time is sort of relative. It's not. It's not. Because an hour is always an hour. An hour is always 60 minutes, right? You could say, wow, an hour is a long period of time. An hour is a long period of time. And compared to a second, it is. But compared to a year or a decade or a century, an hour is very short. So it's not exactly the same when we talk about time being relative, when we talk about time travel, but I'm hoping that will help you understand a little bit. So what scientists are talking about, whoops, did I just lose you? What scientists, I had some dust on I don't even know if I'm live anymore. Am I still live? Hopefully I'm still live. Computer's so slow. Let's see if we're still live here. How embarrassing. With a simple swipe. Sorry about that. I don't know. I think I was live the whole time, but I had some pollen possibly on my keyboard and I wanted to swipe it away. I don't know. I'll have to look at the replay. Hopefully the connection was not lost because I feel like I was on somewhat of a roll. Well, let's talk about, hopefully that the rest of that is safe. So let's talk about when we talk about time travel and relativity and time being relative. So scientists are theorizing that if we could reach close to the speed of light, which is incredibly fast. But again, fast is a relative term. It's relatively fast compared to a turtle. Time is really fast. But it actually might be the fastest thing in the universe. Some theorize that it's actually the universe's speed limit, that nothing can go faster than the speed of light. But fast is a relative term. So my car driving at 70 miles an hour down the main turnpike is fast compared to someone on a bike, most likely. They probably can't reach 70 miles an hour, but compared to an airplane, my car is pretty slow. So when we speed things up to the speed of light, it's impossible. Humans don't have that technology. But if we could, scientists, very smart people, theorize that possibly time could bend. For example, let's say we have a particle, maybe a really small object. Maybe we could push that towards the speed of light. And if that is so, let's assume the particle has feelings and thoughts. For that particle to travel 1 minute in time, it might be a minute and 20 seconds to us. At a certain speed, it is possible that time is bent and that particle could arrive at the next minute much quicker than we can. So if we observe that particle, it would take us 1 minute to see that particle arrive or something like that. But maybe to that little particle, it only took 40 seconds. And if that doesn't make sense, I'm hoping that maybe you've seen Avengers Endgame. And it's, spoiler alert, right at the end, Captain America, if you remember, he is an old man sitting a little ways off from Bucky and Falcon. And he's an old man. And it's almost like they just left him and he was a relatively young man. He was about their age. And it took Captain America, what, 70 years or so to arrive at that moment. But for Falcon and Bucky, it took just minutes. And that's what we're talking about with time being relative. So, of course, that technology is not possible. But in that movie, you can see how two different people might have experienced a couple minutes very differently. It took Captain America 70 years for what it took Bucky and Falcon a couple minutes. So I hope that makes sense. And I do want to stress again that it's unlikely we'll be able to travel backwards in time. And it's unlikely we'll be able to bend time or travel into the future in our lifetime. But looks like somebody's here. I can barely see anything written on the screen. Oh dear. Somebody's here, but hello. How are you? I'm still live. Oh, good. Good. Somebody said I'm still live. Somebody's actually watching. Let's see here. I'll go into a darker space. Who's that? Melissa, how are you? How's it going? Yeah, the problem with, it's beautiful out here, but the problem with being out here is it's very hard for me to read anything that's being written. So I hope that you're all doing well. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. I think it might be just me and oh, somebody else is here. Who's here? Let me go back. Maybe I should just go back into the kitchen. It's so nice out here, though. Austin Graham. What's up, my man? How's it going? Hope you're all doing well at home. Maybe you had the notifications set for all. Maybe you hit that little bell and you said all. But glad to be getting work from many of you. Good work, too. But like I said, I don't Zoom, really. I don't like the idea of it. I don't know how successful they have been. According to some people, it's a time to fool around. But if anybody would like to get one-on-one with me or two-on-one on a Zoom, and we can talk out some of these things. I know that article of time travel can be really, really dense, really, really difficult, which is why I want to take it step by step. And if you read it a couple times and then I'm reading sections of it, I think you can really grasp some pretty difficult technology, some pretty difficult scientific writing, some pretty specific writing. But get in touch with me on email if you're like, hey, I don't understand this. We can sit down and read it together. If everybody wants to do that one-on-one, I seriously have that amount of time to do that for two reasons. One, we're not in school, so I actually have a lot of time during the day. And the second thing is I don't think there will be that much interest. So even if 10 people take me up on that offer, I have the time. It's pollen season, by the way. I hope none of you have allergies, but that's the problem. Get outside, too. It's absolutely beautiful. When I saw the weather report yesterday, it said it would be rainy. So maybe later in the day it will be, but not right now. It is absolutely beautiful. So I hope you guys are spending that 10 minutes per class per day. I hope it's not too overwhelming. I hope everybody's doing as well as can be. I know it can be difficult. Just so many plans that people had are just crushed. You know, there's very little that is going on. So hopefully you're able to FaceTime with your friends and all that stuff. And hopefully everybody in your family is doing well. I was checking the numbers in Thailand. If Lissa's still here, I know you were going on a trip. Thailand's been doing really, really well with the coronavirus. So I don't know if plans are, maybe we'll head over there a little bit. I don't know. But hopefully this thing disappears for us and we can have a somewhat normal summer and then get back in the fall and have a somewhat normal fall. But it was good, at least seeing you for a little bit, sort of. Austin, and Alyssa. Awesome. If there are no questions, I'll probably click this off just because I don't want to waste anybody's time. We're at about 14 minutes. So I hope that helped with a very difficult term of relativity. And I know it's not very easy to understand how tall can be tall compared to other things, but not so tall. Short, old, young, those are relative terms. They're not specific. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here, but email if you want to get in touch and you're like, hey, Mr. Watson, I don't get it. Let's read it together. Boom. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm next to a device almost every waking hour, so I can hear it ding. Oh, I'll go grab it. All right, thank you guys for joining. I'm going to try to go live every day this week. Presidential paragraphs. This paragraph, if you are looking for something to do, I am going to ask, the question will be something like this. No research really involved, but pick a time, anytime. Where would you go? What event would you like to see? In the future or in the past? Of course, future events haven't been exactly written, but you might want to say, my marriage, something like that. Or the year 2100, something like that. All right, I'm out of here. Hope you're all doing well. Miss you guys. Can't wait to be back in the classroom with you guys. Someday soon, hopefully. Adios, amigos.